Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Square, the Circle Music channel. It's me, your pal, your host, your humble narrator, Aaron Major. That's right. That guy that likes to talk about, circles and squares, record collecting, music appreciation, all that fun stuff. Here in Western Oregon, we're starting to finally feel that sweet caress of the autumn season, putting us to bed into somber sleep. It's bittersweet. I love it dearly. It's my favorite time of year. It gives us all more time to just kind of slow down, relax, and just kind of like enjoy all of this neat stuff that we collect that's, brightening our lives and making our homes, a good, healthy place to be. So I like to talk about music, particularly on this channel, though I often let my mind and my mouth wander on down the paths and I get to rambling sometimes. So I guess I ought to just get right to it and show you the goods, so they say. Another Monday, what is it? Tuesday night episode of, that's right, you guessed it, Tales from the Thrift. That's right. I like to do this thing where I, drive around town and I visit all the secondhand shops, all the junk stores, if you will, and I show off some of the bullshit that I found for cheap. So let's do that, shall we? I'll just dive right into it. So this is it. This is episode 20 of Tales from the Thrift, guys. I did something. I stuck to it. I was gonna stop doing this installment, I don't know, a few months ago, but I have some encouraging folks out there. So thank you to everybody who, gives me the thumbs up and visits me, and subscribers alike, and everybody. Thanks for all your support. Especially, what's your butt from the Garage Geek channel. I don't think I've ever really caught your name in all of your episodes that I've watched. I'm not sure if you've actually mentioned what your name is, but yeah, everybody go to the channel, the Garage Geek channel, and everybody watch all his videos. They're fantastic. So you've inspired me to like kind of want to pull out some more of these like collectibles and these goofy things that I amass in my home, rather than just talking about music all the time. Maybe I'll pull out some of my comic books, or maybe I'll pull out some other dumb shit. So who knows? But right now I'll stick to the music, guys. So let's check out all the neat shit I found at the thrift stores. Starting with CDs. I didn't really find any good CDs this week. Just one really super immaculately clean copy. Looks like it's never even been touched. Of a band that I have heard so much about throughout their wild career, and kind of got brief, just glimpses and just kind of like slight tastes and smells of them before they kind of just like disappeared in the 90s. Because I was kind of like, I was growing up in the 80s, so a lot of pop music I definitely, latched onto. But this very first album of theirs, their eponymous debut release, I have never listened to in excess. Their first album from 1980. Yeah, like I said, self-titled and a bunch of great tracks. So far, I've actually played it through a few times. My favorite song is Learn to Smile. I think that's their best song on this album. And like I said, I'm not wholly familiar with anything but just their radio singles. A few from, that was the album Kick, is that what it's called? Like from 86 or 87. That was the one that was like in my childhood that I can remember. Because this would have been the year I was born, 1980. So, but yeah, like I said, it's a really great spin. I'll keep it around for a while. It's fun to have it in my car. It sounds really good for 1980 on the Atco label. I don't know who did the production or who was in. Let's see, produced by Duncan McGuire. I'm not sure who Duncan McGuire is, but Learn to Smile sounds great. And they're Australian, so it has like that kind of like, those influences of like power rock of like the 70s and some punk rock attitudes and stuff like that. But definitely just kind of like, power synth pop of the early 80s. That especially that song, Learn to Smile, it just sounds like a synth pop version of like an AC/DC song. You know what I mean? Those Aussies, man. Fucking killer album. So yeah, everyone check out NXS's self-titled album. Only CD I got this week, guys. So whatever. Moving on down the line, I actually did find some cassette tapes this week. which has been a rarity. People have been nabbing up cassette tapes, going hot. Who knows? Way in style. Like I said, I was like at the record store the other day, and yeah, tapes have been like popular for a long time, but now it's like I don't see any tapes out there for less than $10. It's kind of wild. Wherein you could still find like some really dope tapes for very cheap. Long gone are the days where they were like 5 and 4 for $1. Just recently, now they're like $1 a piece. So I did spend $1 a piece on these, but they'll get a lot of play. So whatever, not nervous about it. I grew up in a household steeped in this, love it dearly throughout all the trials and tribulations of this person, career-wise, personal life, whatever, and just all of the sensitivity surrounding the issue. I will never, ever stop listening and loving Michael Jackson. So, ain't gonna happen. I don't know what else to say about that. But I'm not throwing away my Michael Jackson music anytime soon. And I've never had this, well, we had this on CD when I was a kid growing up. Not really growing up. I mean, this was kind of like when I was like already actually graduated high school by the time this came out. But it was great because this was, you know, important stuff, an entire collection of his. And there was a bunch of like previously unreleased stuff on this, right? Maybe, I don't know, his story. Just like a greatest Michael Jackson hits. So, fucking A. Now I got it on cassette. Nerd shit that I love, I talk about all the time. The Narada label, particularly, I love the Narada label. This is an artist I've never heard of, Spencer Brewer, called Portraits on that label I love. And I'm pretty sure it's guitar music. I don't even care. I blind buy this stuff all the time because it just makes me really happy. I love this goofball nerd shit. It makes me happy. So I listen to it all the time. A couple really, really incredible finds. You don't see this stuff every day, especially not for $1. So got a Twisted Sister tape. Probably their most famous album, right? Stay Hungry. Yeah, pretty neat to find a Twisted Sister tape. I don't mind them as far as like kind of the weirdo glam metal stuff of the late 70s, early 80s. Like a lot of it kind of makes me kind of puke, but some of it's pretty dope. I don't know. A lot of it has to do as well with fuck me, what's his name? I shouldn't forget his name. He's a prominent figure in and out of like the music industry. Anyway, he stood up for some, you know, free speech shit. Like I remember like in the early 90s, that was really cool to me and like my circle of friends. Damn it, what is it? D something. D Snyder? Is that what it is? It's got to be D Snyder. Anyway, yeah, he stood up for some fucking, you know, First Amendment shit when it came to musicians and record companies and putting out and doing things and, you know, freedom fighter, right? Freedom Fighter, D Snyder from Twisted Sister, great album. Excited to have that on cassette as well as this one. This is a big fucking deal, right? Got the Zoso, got number 4, Led Zeppelin's 4 on cassette tape. You never find this shit in the wild. Really super cool. So now I got a copy of Stairway to How many babies were made to this specific tape right here? Oh man, I bet you there's even some fucking DNA like on this tape case. It's just like, it's dripping with goo. Gross, Mage, knock it off. All right, them's my tapes, guys. I found some neat tapes. Pretty cool. Tapes have been just kind of like dried up, man. Slim pickings, but also found some really sick fucking LPs, guys. So I'll bring out my records now. I've had this before, and I never really got into it very much. But my ears and my tastes and my sensibilities are liking it a lot more these days. So now I pay attention, and every time I see a copy of it, I look at it just in case I have a cleaner, or that's a cleaner one than the one I have. That was case and scenario with this one, the Triumvirate album, Spartacus. Yeah, I remember seeing this as a kid and just thought it was the coolest thing ever. It's reminiscent of that kind of like, you know, prog adjacent sound, that soft rock sound that I dig. These guys were German, right? And they were kind of like Germany's answer to kind of like belated prog, you know, kind of, I don't know, I guess you could say prog knockoff, knockoff prog of the mid to late 70s, kind of like the German Starcastle. You know, I fucking love Starcastle, and these guys sound a lot like that, kind of like what Styx was about ready to kind of embark upon. Just a, you know, a cool, softer rock version of, you know, proggy yum stuff. I love the art design on this. It's a magnificent album. So, and now I have a wicked clean copy, except for the stupid price tag mark. Damn it. Otherwise, what would be like an excellent copy I scored at the junk store for $3. Pretty neat a burrito. This one too, $3 at the junk store. Could not believe it. And I've actually never seen this. Bo Hansen made another wicked cool fucking album besides the Lord of the Rings one that he did in the 70s. And this was probably later, right? Like maybe like 72 or 73. I don't recall, but I've already, oh no, sorry, it's later, 74, 75. This was recorded, these sessions. Neat gatefold, cool art, fucking amazing. He was, forgive me guys, was he Swedish or was he Norwegian? I think he was Swedish. Bo Hansen, yeah, he did like this really great kind of like, you know, theatrical prog rock, classic symphonic rock, you know, soundtrack to the modern day Lord of the Rings thing. And yeah, he's really known for that, but I've never seen this. So really fucking cool. Fantastical, wicked, crazy, dystopian kind of art here. So for $3, guys. Fucking awesome. Again, really awesome. I've been finding so much of his music lately, which I'm really excited about. Just the godfather of fucking soul and funk, James Brown. Look at this cool fucking, this is like early 60s. Starday King label. And even still, like this was early in his career. He was smart and just nabbed up the rights to his everything. His face, you know, started his own record label, only released, you know, everything independently, I'm assuming, free of every major whatever. So he just walked away with all that cash. I'm hoping, I think I know he did. Crazy motherfucker, lived a crazy, crazy life. So, hooray for the Godfather. Yeah, what's this album called? It's a New Day. Let a Man Come In. Let a man come in. Wow. What a misogynistic creep, but so very talented. Some more fantastic stuff. This was just kind of like cheap new arrival stuff. I've talked about this many times on my channel, Boys and Girls, but I include stuff that I get at the record store on my kind of like recent finds kind of deal that I do here in front of you. Because I have a side hustle that I do with a local record store. I work maintenance and stuff, like building maintenance and like just kind of like handyman shit. And so I do handyman work for the guys down at House of Records. Shout out, love you, Greg. Greg from the House of Records hooks me up with some trade credit. I ended up doing something, again, just a very small project this week. And so I got some kick down. And I just love like rando weirdo shit. Leonard Nimoy's album, what's it called? The Way I Feel. It's really, really terrible. It's really cheese dick, just kind of like, more of like what I'm gonna show you here in a minute, but just, you know, early 60s, just singer, songwriter, poet, spoken word, kind of, you know, rugged hippie man kind of thing, but his voice, his vocals were terrible, and all of the lyrics were incredibly corny. But he's still just an American fucking, you know, legend and a national treasure, Leonard Nimoy. So I grew up loving him and watching him in Star Trek and, you know, just everything. Funny story, even like I grew up listening to what's his about Isao Tomita. You know, my mother listened to Tomita a lot, and we loved it as children, you know, really cool music. And that very famous album cover of one of his albums, he does a bunch of Debussy music, you know, funny, you know, quirky electronic Debussy music, and it has like this weird, like superimposed, like portrait, like silhouette face of Claude Debussy, but like looking all suave and weird. And so you can't really, all you make out is like that silhouette figure. And as a child, I thought that was Leonard Nimoy. It looked like Spock. And I was like, that's Spock. Spock made that music, you know? And then discovering that Leonard Nimoy actually did have like a fucking music career before he was an actor in Star Trek. Like, I don't know. That shit was, you know, cyclical, man. Pretty cool. Everything goes around. Some more goofball shit that I got for next to nothing from House of Records on my trade credit, just because I love the art. Rod McEwen albums are painful, actually, really painful to listen to, but I'll always give them a try just to work through some of these just incredibly milquetoast poems that he just very boringly just kind of just ushers you through this kind of like really just pasty existence here. But the music on this is kind of corny and quirky and fun at the same time. And the psychedelic art and the title, I mean, Rod McEwen takes San Francisco hippie trip. It's really great. But yeah, cool art. I listened through it. I listened through the A side. Just really bad poems about kicking it in San Francisco with friends and like going on drug trips and just doing shit. Kind of neat. Whatevs. I have shown this before. It ended up going to either a record show or maybe I just, you know, sold it with a big chunk of a collection. Sometimes I do large, you know, sell-offs as well as big buys. You know, I buy collections, modest collections. I've never bought anything more than probably like 700 pieces. But yeah, you know, things come and go in my household, in my record collection. You know, I'm one of those peoples. I'm one of those humans that is just constantly ebb and flow, purging stuff. You know, what's that? There's some Japanese like proverb or adage or just like a thing, a lifestyle, not feng shui. Everyone says feng shui. I'm not talking about feng shui. I'm talking about something centered around how they like, you know, everything that you surround yourself ought to bring you joy. And if it doesn't bring you joy, you ought to cast it away. You just ought to. I think it's a Taoist thing. Whatever. I like that. And I kind of try to do that. And I don't really live my life that way because I'm a lazy fuck. But I'm trying. And especially within my record collection, because my record collection is a reflection of me. And I try to like keep it as tidy as I can. And I like to try to be ever changing and always evolving. So here at the Square of the Circle music channel, we like to keep things ever evolving. And that ridiculous little rant that I just went on all circles back around to just a very simple topic of how I've had this record before and I got rid of it and now I found a really great clean copy again. It's a local duet from this 80s, I think, actually. Late 70s, early 80s, these guys just had a independent label here in Eugene, Oregon, that they were actually cutting their own shit. They had their own lathe and everything. It was down in just outside the Whitaker neighborhood in Eugene. It's on like First and Monroe or something like that. They were called Cutthroat Records. Is that what they called themselves? Yeah, Cutthroat Records with a fucking trout. Just got a steelhead trout there on the label. That's what we're known for here in this part of Oregon, Willamette Valley. We got the best fucking steelhead fishing in the world. And even more kind of like local stuff, you know, this park here is just, you know, my children, their mother, they live, you know, across the street from this park. And we've hiked this mountain all the time. It's called Spencer Butte. Spencer Butte in the southern portion of the valley here in this southern Willamette Valley, Oregon. Oregon Hill, this album's called. Two great folk guitar players, acoustic guitar, beautiful songsmiths, Richard Crandall and Bill Bartels. Yeah, I ought to keep this now for good. I don't think I'll ever let go of it again. Beautiful album. All right, I found a really cool chunk of like some 80s like pop shit that I don't know anything. That's why I bought that In Excess album too. I'm just like really trying to like relate with, it's not a different generation. It's just a group of people that are only anywhere from, you know, 5 to 10 years older than me. So in their early to mid 50s. And it's just like a chunk of time, a period in space where, yeah, I'm familiar with it because I was there in a sense, but I wasn't involved in popular culture because I was too young. And so a lot of this stuff just kind of like I skipped over it. And I'm growing to love a lot of it because it was around. It was in my head. I just didn't know it. And I didn't understand the significance of it, I guess you could say. And so, yeah, that like kind of mid 70s to mid 80s pop music. I don't know a ton of it. And so I'm discovering all these I just kind of like, anytime I see something that looks interesting from 75 to 85 that I don't know anything about, I've discovered some really incredible fucking like kind of like shoegazy and like dream, punk stuff, and just kind of like some really random shit that I really like. This one's gonna be, I haven't listened to it yet. This should be good. They're called Bonk, a band called Bonk. This was like from like 86, 8? This is 88. So yeah, I was an 8-year-old kid. The shit was definitely kind of like making my radar sing a little bit. I liked pop. I liked pop punk and that kind of stuff, that sound. It was fun to me. That's why when the 90s hit, I just like, I latched right onto it because I liked that rock and roll sound. I wasn't into like all of the newer experimental kind of like, urban culture, hip hop kind of stuff that a lot of people were gravitating toward. I didn't gravitate that way. I gravitated towards stuff like this. Big Pig, the album's called. Awesome. By a band called Bonk. I'm really excited to give this my first spin. I'll report back to you guys because I know a lot of you guys are from this era, where this was your jam. So this should be really cool. Some more stuff. Wholly unfamiliar with it. What's the group called? The McLaren? Or no, his name is just McLaren. Oh, Malcolm McLaren. The album is called Fans. Wow. So intriguing. So intriguing. My, what are you doing? So, yeah, just some more probably just power pop synth kind of stuff from the 80s. Yeah, like I said, find this stuff for cheap. I'm just going to buy it, give it a try. If I don't dig it, whatever. I'll put it in the dollar bin at my next record show, and I don't mind losing $2 here and there to something that was worth a shot. This should be dope. I can't believe I found this. This looks really incredible. I'm not incredibly familiar with John McLaughlin and all his Mahavishnu stuff, but the Mahavishnu Orchestra stuff that I have heard, I've really enjoyed quite a bit of it, and this I'm sure will be no different. Kind of a more solo kind of deal he's doing called Shakti. Yeah, familiar with the phrase, but I don't really know what it means. Shakti. But he looks like he has a really fantastic group of city musicians who know what the fuck they're doing. Obviously. I'm sure he does too. So it should be fantastic. I think I probably stumbled across something that is probably pretty valuable. I haven't looked it up yet. But it's clean as a whistle. Should be cool. Yeah, Shakti with John McLaughlin. All right, some really awesome nerd shit. I've had LPs by him before, and like I said, they kind of float away, but this one floated back to me. I love this stuff. I don't know exactly where he's from. Alan Stivell. It sounds like he's probably, from the Celtic region of the world, probably Irish or Scottish or Welsh or English or whatever, but he plays a mean fucking folky harp. He's really, really great. And I've never seen this one before. I think it's an import. Yeah. I don't know. Really effing cool. I love this stuff. Just folky harp music, Celtic flair. Rest her soul. She just died, didn't she? That's kind of why I picked this up. I've spun her records, but I've never really paid a lot of attention. And losing an American, folk hero icon, country starlet, that shit hurts. So R.I.P. Rest in power, Loretta Lynn. Found a really fantastic, super clean copy of just, maybe it's her debut record. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into it. But here's Loretta Lynn. Yeah, on the, how do you pronounce it? Vocalion label. It's a subsidiary of Decca Records. But yeah, really neat. This has got to be probably, 61? Original OG shit. Country starlet. Probably 61. I can't wait to look this up. I just had to have it. So, Neato burrito. Oh yeah, I got this because I mean I love classical music. I truly do. And this is a collection of a bunch of masters and stormy, you know, intense, cinematic, beautiful music by some of the masters. And it's just called Storm in Hi-Fi. Look at that fucking art, dude. Oh, and it's that magnificent stylistic. It's like grainy, like intentionally grainy, how they did that style of art on these like late 50s, mid and late 50s LPs. The Westminster Hi-Fi collection. Dude, yeah, Sibelius and Debussy and Beethoven, of course, a couple of Beethoven selections, some Rossini. Everything's titled like The Storm or Summer Rain or, whatever. Pretty neat. Yeah, dude, fucking absolutely minty, minty, minty fresh. Westminster Hi-Fi. Really cool. So yeah, adding that to my just kind of like random fucking classical record collection, which I love because it just has like random selections by all the masters and some other like obscure, composers and stuff. But I buy it for the art, so I can just thumb through and just look at the fantastic art, while I'm listening to just like random shit I don't know anything about. Yeah, I've had many, many copies of this, but finding a clean one in the wild for $3, which is like fucking practically mint, is really cool. Santana rocks. It's more of that badass kind of, introspective cosmic guitar playing like we were just talking about with McLaughlin, They've even done albums together. So yeah, really cool to find like a chunk of classic, psych shit. The art, is fantastic. One of the greatest covers of, rock music history. Fucking Santana. Carlos. And another just kind of like, bought it because it was an amazing price, a very modest price. It's a great clean copy. I've never had this one. I buy Marquee Moon anytime I find a reasonably priced copy of Marquee Moon. I always buy that because I listened to it for 6 months and I'm like, okay, that was really, really fun to do. And I can always sell it for what I bought it for, sometimes more. But yeah, the band Television, of course, they're fucking amazing. This album Adventure, I have listened to it many times, but I've never really owned it. Now I own it. And like I said, a modest price for a fantastic record. Yeah, that was one of my trade records that I got from the House of Records, for doing just some fun little projects for them. Just a couple left. This is some more, or no, just this one. This was on trade credit as well, from the House of Records, and really cool because I'd listened to it many times. I got a copy of that Captain Beyond record, guys, and it's in fantastic mint condition. I wouldn't say mint. There is some discoloring along the edges, so yeah, I'm not going to get away with grading this any better than a very good plus, but it's pretty fucking rad, guys. Capricorn Records. Neato burrito. Yeah, ass stomping blues, prog, heavy psych rock. It's fucking great. Cool album. Excited to have that collection now. Yeah, really great price on that one too. Thanks, Greg. This is the last one, guys, and then I will say goodnight to you. But thank you very much for joining me. I love you all. And, visit me on the Instacrapple and find me, Square the Circle Records on Instagram. Say what's up. Guys, I found another like kind of little honey hole around town, all these neat little places that I go, these thrift stores and whatnot, but this one was hiding in plain sight. I've known about it. I've been looking at records there forever, but I think they got a new person with a new collection that came in. You know how people will do that and they'll just kind of like commission and just get a small percentage to wherever they're selling at, and they just get to flip records on the side and they don't even have to be there. I did that quite a bit, but then I realized it's like, I'm not making, it's not that I'm not making money, but I'm just like, I'm paying out far too much money to have that convenience of just kind of like always having my shit on sale without having to be there. Yeah, I just, too much money that I had to pay for that. So I don't do that gig anymore. But I might think about doing something like that if it was in a place like this, in a fucking bookstore, hiding away in the very, very back of a really cool, privately owned, small business here in Eugene, Oregon. and just an independent bookstore, and they have a fantastic record collection because it's all the shit that nobody wants. Because there's no AC/DC records and there's no Led Zeppelin records, whatever. This is all like I was just showing you, like all that nerd shit that I love. Great classical selections, great like new age and jazz and like new jazz and you know what I mean? Just like all that shit that no one cares about that I just happen to really, really love. And so I can find my type of music there. Wherein, you know, you won't find those kind of selections at just kind of random popular record stores. And this was one of those, you know, $4. $4 for this amazing, amazing fucking record. Again, rest in power. Klaus Schulze. We just lost him last year. Or maybe it was just very early this year. This is conflicting again. I've talked about this recently. I can't remember when Klaus Schulze passed. But anyway, this album, Mirage, that he did is like 77, something like that. I don't know. On the Island label. I mean, it's absolutely mad, guys. This album fucking kills. It's so amazing. And it's like one of those instances, it's like, man, that guy didn't know what he had. He probably just had it there for so long and no one's ever bought it because no one really goes in there, especially not to look for records. They're always just looking to grab whatever, you know, novel is hip that week. And yeah, no one's looking to pick up some badass fucking electronica by the greatest, one of the greatest, a master. Pretty neat find for $4, guys. So that's all I got for you. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you on the flippity flop. Later.